So the seniors who graduated last year were my first freshman class. Wow. Okay. Boy. So today we're doing 7.2. As a reminder, your quiz for this class is on Thursday. So we're learning 7.2 today. We're going to skip 7.3 and learn 7.4 tomorrow. You have a quiz, because we don't review for quizzes. You have a quiz on Thursday. I already made it. It's somewhere between 20 and 30 questions. Because I don't actually remember, but it's somewhere around there. It's 20-ish questions. I don't remember how many. I think it's 25, 26. But a lot of them are like small questions where you just do one thing. Like it would just be like x times x to the 6. What's the answer? It would just be short. And they build up, which is why there's longer ones. Okay? So you learned yesterday that when you multiply numbers, you add their exponents, right? Hopefully. Those of you who paid attention, unlike Hunter over there. Yesterday. Today we're doing 7.2. We're doing division properties. And I still have better handwriting than most of you. Some of your freshmen still write like this. Huh? Yeah, but she has the prettiest handwriting I've ever seen in my entire life. The rest of you write like this, don't you? Like you. But you have to remember I'm left-handed. So no one knew how to teach me how to write, so I just wrote however I was so because right-handed people don't think that they don't know how to teach people how to write because they're opposite-handed, which is just opposite, which is stupid. So I had to teach myself, so I just did whatever's comfortable. So now I have a writer's bump on my finger from holding the pencil there. A book? No, that's why I learned how to write my letters, but not how to hold a pencil. When you were a little kid, not mentally, actually physically, you used to have to trace letters. Remember those little dots? It used to look like this, and it was like an A, and you used to trace them to practice writing A's. Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Yeah, most people do. Okay. Oh boy. First thing we're going to learn is quotient, which just means fractions because we're doing division. Property of powers. The good thing is a lot of these go with what we did yesterday. Okay? So, yesterday, when we multiplied numbers, we added their exponents. So, today, if we divide numbers, what do you think we're going to do with their exponents? Subtract. Thanks, Gage. Yes, so if I have a to the 7th over a to the 2nd, okay? Here's the thing about this. Here's a little note. You're going to subtract, which could be hard for some of you if you don't know what it means, the largest number minus the smallest number. So which one's larger, 7 or 2? 7. What is 7 minus 2? 5. So you do the subtraction of the numbers. The second part is you write your answer where the largest number was. Right? The R and the I kind of go together. So if you said A to the 5th, right? Because you said 5 of them are left. Where was the 7? Was it on top or on the bottom? So I'm going to write A to the 5th on top of the fraction. And says nothing's left because we took both these A's and we subtracted them. So now they're gone. So it's really A to the 5th over 1. Or anything over 1 is really just a whole number. So it's really A to the 5th. We're going to try it again. How about M to the 3rd on top and M to the 10th on the bottom? So again, if they're the same variable, right, which they are, which one's bigger, 10 or 3? Do the biggest one minus the smallest one. You can literally type that in your calculator. 10 minus 3, you get 7. Where's that answer going to go? Yep. So what I do is I always draw my fraction and go, okay, well then M to the 7th, because these both, we subtracted them. Since there's nothing up here, what number should we put up there since it's a fraction? 1. So that is the answer we would type into Alex. Gonna keep using it all the years you're here. Now let's try it with 2 variables, okay? Your homework is not in any order, so you have to learn all the properties before you can do it, okay? So now let's try multiple variables, okay? So x to the 3rd, y. So since y doesn't have a power, what number really is it? 1. Okay, I would always write it. On the bottom, I'm going to write x to the negative 2, y to the 6th. Every time I write an equal sign and then I draw a fraction. I'm always ready for the fraction. One thing at a time. Look at the x's. Which one's greater, 3 or negative 2? So 3. So you're going to type in or do in your head 3 minus negative 2. So you're minusing a negative. So you're really adding them. 3 minus a negative. It's 5. Yes. Because you're minusing a negative. Type it in. 3 minus negative. Because look, 3 minus negative 2. 2 negatives make a positive. So that's x to the 5th. Where's it going to go? On the top or the bottom? Yep. Now the y's. Which one's bigger, 6 or 1? Subtract them. 6 minus 1. What do you get? Where's the y going to go? Bottom. And since we have nothing we can add together or do anything with, since these are different variables, you're done. That's your answer. Yes, no? Okay. We're in math class and I'm recording my lesson. So next one we're going to learn is power of a quotient. You've kind of already learned this one. We're just applying it to fractions. You did power of a power the last time. So the easy one, if I have in parentheses my fraction a over b, close my parentheses, and I'm going to say to the 7th power. Really, what are the powers on the a and the b? 1. So a is really to the first, b is really to the first. What did we do last section when there was a number on the outside? We distributed. We took this number and put it in with everything. But now, aren't there stuff on the top and the bottom? So we have to distribute it to the top and the bottom. And people, that's the only thing people make mistake. We forget the bottom sometimes. And when we distribute, what operation do we use? Multiplication. Distributing is not an operation. So 7 times 1, so a to the 7th. And then 7 times 1 again for b is b to the 7th. And they stay exactly where they were. You're just changing their exponents. The 1 and the 7 multiplied, yes. Let's try it again with some numbers and some variables. In the parentheses and a fraction every single time. We're going to have a 3 on top, a p squared next to it. On the bottom of the fraction, we're going to put the number 7. Close your parentheses. We are going to put a 2 on the outside, so a squared. Before you distribute, put a 1, put a power on anything that doesn't, so put 1s there. Helps you remember. Then draw arrows. This 2 needs to go to everything on top and everything on the bottom. So I would really write this as 3 to what power? Yep. P to what power? 7 to what power? Second. Would I leave my answer like that? No, I need to simplify it because 3 squared is an actual number. What is 3 squared? 9. Since p is a variable, we leave it. What about 7 squared? 49. It's always going to tell you to simplify these. That literally the instructions say simplify each expression. They don't tell you to use your properties. That's literally the instructions. Simplifying, how you know if your thing needs to be simplified, the actual fraction. One of two things. You can either just type in 9 over 49 and see if it simplifies, or look at the original problem, 3 over 7. Can 3 over 7 be simplified by itself? No, if this cannot be simplified here, it can't be simplified when it's squared or cubed or to the 7th or anything. So you always check on the inside first. Because if not, it'll save you some time here. And remember, you will always leave your answers as fractions. Good. Kink in my neck. Okay? Your new board. Next, the best one and the easiest one. This one is called the zero exponent property. Best one ever. This one says anything like a to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is always the same answer, whether it's a variable or a number. Type it in. Pick any number in your head. Type it into your calculator. Anything to the 0 power. See what you get. No. Anything to the 0 power is always 1, which really means it's gone. Because a to the 0 means I have no a's, right? That's what that means. A to the 0 means I have none of those. So that means that variable is gone. So they're going to try to trick you and give you this big old problem. So parentheses, fraction, and be like, I'm going to have 3x to the 6th y, and then 15xy to the 7th z. That looks like a lot. Close your parentheses, all to the 0. So that whole big thing is to the 0. So the answer is just 1. They might try to trick you like that, which is super easy. The other thing they might try to do, which is more casual, is they'll give you a problem like this. 3a squared b to the 0 all over 7. And they're just going to ask you to simplify it. No, you don't pay attention. Since b is the only thing that's 0. So 3 and 7, can I simplify 3 divided by 7? No, so it stays 3 on top, 7 on the bottom. A, is there anything I can subtract A with? Is there A's anywhere else? No, so A stays there. This B to the 0 means I have no B's, right? So really, that's crossed off. So that is my answer right here. It really just means I have no B's. You just kind of get rid of them. It'll help you out when there's a lot of subtraction in it and the B's just gone. Just that thing is gone. Doesn't mean the whole thing is 0. Just that thing is gone. The last one is the hardest one, but it doesn't happen as often. The last one is called negative exponent property. This is the last one, and then we'll do all kinds of practice problems. Okay, so we already talked about this. We said a monomial cannot have negative exponents. It's one of the rules. Polynomials can't have negative exponents. We talked about this last chapter. That's why we have this property, because we're not allowed to have our answers that have negatives in the answer unless it's a whole number. Okay, so if we have a to the negative 2 as our problem, it just says a to the negative 2. How do you write that as a fraction, a to the negative 2? It's all over what? Yeah, it's all over 1. A fraction as a whole number is really just all over 1, right? Now, this is how I remember how to change this. You do not flip the fraction. People get this wrong. You look at everything you have and go, what's negative? Oh, the A is the only thing that has the negative. So I circle the thing that's negative. If there's a number in front of it, you do not circle it. Only the variable or the number that is negative. We'll do another example next. And for it to become positive, it needs to cross over this line and go to the other side. This is like the most cryptic thing I probably say all year. But like I always think about it to remember it. I think when you die, when you cross over to the other side, you're usually happy and positive and all your worries go away. So this negative, when he crosses over to the other side, he has to be positive. When you move him across the line, he has to be positive. So when I rewrite this, I only move this. So is there anything else up here with it? Technically a 1. Only that goes on the bottom. So A now becomes to the positive 2. And if there were anything else down here, I could write, so I can technically write 1 times A squared if I really want. So only that thing moves. Let's try it when there's more than one thing here, because this is where people get confused. So I have the fraction. 3A on top. On the bottom, I have B to the negative 3rd. In my fraction, what is the thing that has the negative exponent? Just the B. So I'm only going to circle the B. How do I make him positive? He needs to cross over and go up top to the other side. So the 3, did I change him? No, he's still on top. The A, did he change? Nope. And then I have an arrow there that says the B needs to change. He needs to be more positive. So now he's positive. Is there anything left in the bottom? No, so I can either leave it like that or put it over 1. Yes. If you know how on Alex they give you that little thing that has those little boxes, you click on it, say, hey, I want to put this in a fraction, like to type your answer in a fraction on the side. If you click the fraction thing and don't put something in the bottom, they will mark it wrong though. So if you click the fraction thing and there's a blank thing down there in a box, you should just put the 1. Hello? She's in the nurse's office. Yeah. No. Bye. Okay, so let's try when multiple variables have negatives, okay? So x to the third, y to the negative second, and what about on the bottom, x to the negative fourth? Now this one's tricky. Look at the x's. I always go left to right. Are there multiple x's? If there are multiple x's, you don't have to deal with the negatives. You can do the subtraction because you have 2 of them, top and bottom. Which one's greater, the 3 or the negative 4? The 3. So what is 3 minus negative 4? 7. So I'm going to write x, and where's it going to go? Yep, on top, 7. Now this y, is there anything for me to do to add with a y? No, so but it's negative, isn't it? So I'm going to circle it, and where does he need to go? He needs to cross over to the other side. So then I'm going to write on the bottom y to the second power. So the best thing is, if there's negatives with multiple of that variable, you don't actually have to change them over. You just do the subtraction. If there's only that variable, you're going to have to switch them to the other side. You ready to try some practice problems before? We'll do them together before we do them on the board. Okay? Okay, start at the beginning. Number 1, fraction, always fractions. X to the third, y to the fourth on top. On the bottom, x to the second, y. That's the problem. I always draw a fraction every single time. So, left to right. Do I have any numbers? Numbers, whole numbers. Okay, start with your x's. Do I have multiple x's? Okay, are one on top and the bottom? So then we're going to subtract. If I subtract them, how many's left over and where does it go? Yep, 1 on top. So I can write x to the first if I want, or I can just write x. Now y's. Multiple of them? Are they on different sides? What does this y have as a power on the bottom? Okay, that helps. When we subtract them, where are we going to put them and what's the answer? Top and what? Top and y to the third. So I can write that as a whole answer or put 1 in my denominator. Okay, try a little bit harder one. Fraction. K to the 7th, m to the 10th, p. That's on top. On the bottom, k to the 5th, m to the 13th, p. Hunter, how many k's am I going to have left over and where do they go? Because you were looking at your hands. Sergio, k's? How many left over? 7 minus 5? Yep, same with M. What do we have left over? 3. Where's it go? 10 and 13. Jacoby, what's weird about my P's? Well, that means they both have 1s. That's not weird. When I do my subtraction, what do you get? What's 1 minus 1? So I have P to the 0. What does that mean? I have no P's, right? So do I write any P's in my answer? Nope, that's it. That's your answer. Because these, since this turns into P to the 0, it's all gone. So those cancel out. Because they're the same number on top and bottom. Okay, now let's try the power ones. Parentheses, fraction. 3p to the third all over 5. Close your parentheses. Squared. First thing we should do is put 1 powers on the things that don't have powers. Next thing we're going to do is what? What do we do with that little 2? Distribute it. Remember, same size numbers only multiply by same size numbers. Gunnar, what are we going to get? Well, just distributing the 2. What am I going to get? 3 to the what? Okay. P to the, okay. 5 to the, would I leave my answer like this? Why not? What can we simplify? We can simplify something. I can't hear you. You have to be louder because the fan. So what are they going to be? Are we sure that 9 over 25 cannot be simplified? It cannot. Because 3 squared is 9. Let's try one where 3 and 5 are, you see how these don't simplify? Let's try one where they need to be simplified. Number 4. Parentheses. 2y squared on top. On the bottom, 4y to the negative 3. Close your parentheses. And then to the third. Now, this is a different kind of problem. When you have stuff in the inside that are like, you see how you have y's that are the same on the inside, and you see how you have this number, you're going to do your order of operations exactly what it says. Order of operations says P for parentheses, do the inside first. So you ignore this 3 and go, 2 divided by 4, can that be simplified? 2 divided by 4, can that simplify to a fraction, a simplified fraction? Can I divide 2 by 4? Yes, they're both even numbers. It's a fraction, it's not a whole number. What is 2 divided by 4? Which is what as a fraction? If you can't do that, which number is bigger, 4 or 2? It's the same thing. Take the bigger number and divide the smaller number. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Where was the bigger number at? It was on the bottom. That's where the 2 goes. It's the same thing. Then look at your y's. Do you have multiple y's? So subtract them. 2 minus negative 3. You get 5. Where's it going to go? On the top. So y to the 5th. Now that this is simplified, now we can do this. So now we're going to take this 3 and put it with everything that's here. You don't really need the whole number 1, but 1 is now 1 to the third. Y is really y to what now? 15th. And 2 is now 2 to the what? Third. Well, what's 1 to the third? It's still 1. It doesn't mean anything. Y to the 15th stays. What is 2 to the third? 8. So we just took something that was big and crazy and turned it into a simple. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2. And you're counting by 2, so you need to multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Multiply 4 times 2. Let's try another one like that. Parentheses. 5 over negative 20. X to the third on top. Y to the second on top. Z on top. X on the bottom. Y to the fifth on the bottom. Close your parentheses. All of it squared. Before you deal with the parentheses, deal with the inside. Again, if you can't do this, if you can't type this in, take the bigger number, negative 20, and divide it by 5. What is negative 20 divided by 5? Negative 4, where was 20? Which is the bigger number, right? 20 is the bigger number. It's on the bottom. So you're going to put negative 4. With numbers, you don't pay attention to the negative, you just pay attention to the number. Then you do the x's. This has a power of 1, this has a power of 3. Can we subtract them? What's left? Where does it go? What about the y's? Can we simplify those? Where does it go? Yep, y to the third on the bottom. And then z. Does it have anything to add or subtract to? So what do I do with him? If he has nothing to go with, we just keep him where he is. If he doesn't have any buddies to add into, you just move him over. So he's still z. Now this is in parentheses, and now we get to deal with the squared. Now this has a power and that has a power. Don't forget when you square something, especially whole numbers, don't forget to put that negative with the 4 in parentheses when you square it. So what's the top going to turn into, Crystal? Okay. Tubes, what's the bottom going to be? Negative 4 squared. Because it's too warm in here. Negative 4 squared. It's supposed to be 82 today. Two. That's why it's squared. Negative 4 squared. We're taking this and we're squaring them. 2 times 1 is 2. What happens when you square a negative? It becomes positive, right? So what's 4 squared? Yep. What happens with this y? That 2 and the 3. This 2 out here. Yes, they do. Yes, sir. Huh? Because in your calculator, you should type in this, negative 4 squared. If you did not use parentheses, you will still get a negative number. Did you get negative 16? What? You didn't square it. You forgot to take this 2 and put it. And that's a big common mistake. People will do the top and they'll even do the variables on the bottom, but they forget the numbers on the bottom. That is a common mistake. Everything needs it. That's why we put ones on everything to remember, see if did we apply that outside number to everything on the inside. Okay, the only you ready to try some on the board?